Well, everyone is calling this a stunning victory for Donald Trump, and when you consider the circumstances, it really is. I mean, he was disowned by many in his own party. His opponents called him unfit for office. The Pope criticised him for being unchristian. He was caught making lewd remarks about women and called some Mexican immigrants rapists. And that's not all.
You are not, Hillary. Because I am building a lot of momentum. The polls are very good.
Well, satirical shows made fun of him, pop stars, billionaires lined up against him, and Robert De Niro, one of America's best-loved actors, called him utterly stupid, a punk, a dog, and a pig. And yet, here we are. Donald Trump is going to be the next president of the United States. So, in this special edition of Money Talks, we're going to be looking at how he did it, how he won over people who'd normally vote Democrat. His victory shaking up markets around the world, but it's not as spooky as you'd think. And how will his policies affect America and the rest of the world once he's sworn in January? Let's start with how he won. Here's Azhar Sukri report from New York.
There were cheers in the Trump camp, but tears for Hillary Clinton. Trump's campaign was all about getting rid of politicians and focusing on the economy. Most opinion polls didn't predict him to win, but he did. And he didn't build a wall to do it, he knocked one down. States like Wisconsin, Iowa and Georgia are called the Blue Wall because they usually vote Democrat, but this time they didn't. Many farms and factories in the states have closed and wages have stagnated for years. Trump blames the North American Free Trade Agreement for taking US jobs in agriculture, livestock and the auto sectors to Canada and Mexico. And his victory in these states shows that voters agree. That's not the only trade deal that Trump plans to get rid of.
We're going to keep America out of Trans-Pacific Partnership unless we can do something that's phenomenal, and I'm not seeing it right now, I can tell you that.
Trump positioned himself as the consummate outsider, taking potshots at giant corporations and the Washington elite. And he largely funded his own campaign. All of these factors reinforcing his message that he is a man of the people. Trump also pulled ahead in swing states like Florida, Virginia and Ohio. The Clinton camp was counting on overwhelming support from women voters to help win there.
Well, if fighting for women's health care and paid family leave and equal pay is playing the woman card, then deal me in.
They also expected minorities to take them over the threshold in swing states, but not enough support from them came. Trump was blamed for divisive policies and for being disrespectful. But in the end, his message of protecting American jobs and lowering taxes resonated with voters. Azhar Sukri, TRT World, New York City.
And Azhar is still there for us in Times Square. Azhar, how did this Republican billionaire from New York persuade so many working class and middle class Americans that they'd be better off with him?
Hello, Matt, and welcome to Times Square in New York, where, as you can probably tell, the heavens have opened up, and kind of matching the mood of a lot of people here in New York City. Of course, Hillary Clinton's stronghold. A lot of people that we've spoken to here saying that they're very sad on this day. Of course, other people, Trump supporters, even here in New York, saying they're ecstatic about what happened overnight. So in answer to your question, Matt, how did it happen? Well, look, we've been traveling over the last 10 days or so through Middle America, through the Midwest, through North Dakota and South Dakota and Iowa and places like that, where time and again people have been saying to us that they feel left out of the American dream. And by that, we're talking about, when we boil it all down to things like wages, wage growth in a lot of those key swing states, like Iowa, where we were, and even Florida and even Pennsylvania. Those places, wages have actually lagged behind the national average, going back as far as the 1990s. When you look at take-home pay, a lot of people there feel that they have just very simply been left behind, that they don't have enough to make both ends meet. And ultimately, I think, looking around, when you strip away a lot of the rhetoric and mudslinging that we saw during the election campaign, I think that ultimately it boils down to that simple fact.
Azhar Sukri, thank you very much for that.